G'day YouTube, warbles on a lot here. This is of course Fruit Loop. Many of you know Fruit Loop. She's still got her Joey. Fruit Loop's daughter Fruit Cake has not had her Joey in the pouch for 24 hours, so I guess this one's cousin niece has gone missing on the fields of the fox food. You get that. So anyway, this is one of the reasons I'm on YouTube, is because I get to decide spontaneously what I film, how I film it, what its context is, what its content is. I get to write, direct, produce the movie of my own life. You know, that's one of the reasons I'm on YouTube, because it allows me that opportunity. I'm not on YouTube because I'm hoping to get discovered by some person with Hollywood fantasies. Okay? I actually got on YouTube to publicise the SunFoil project and the results of my research and development, which I kind of stumbled into. You know, I didn't set out to try and save fuel. I set out to try and finish recharging the battery, because I know I don't live far enough out of town for the engine-driven alternator to do that job. And I discovered an entire field of automotive engineering out there in the creaky little corner of powertrain engineering and drivetrain mechanics and chemical energy storage and electromechanical generation. There's this sort of intersection of factors where if you put a solar panel on the cusp, by dint of being an interface artifact, a very small amount of electrical power just at the right point, i.e. the battery, means that you can save a very large amount of power in the form of petrol or diesel or LP gas going into the engine, which would otherwise have to happen in order to turn the belt to drive the alternator to produce the electricity. That's what the battery wants. The battery doesn't want petrol or diesel or LP gas. The battery wants electricity. Okay, so it's such a simple idea that nobody wanted to pay attention. So I got on YouTube and I've made 98 movies, I suppose, about SunFoils. And they're creeping into this one, although this is not a movie about SunFoils, but they're in here, so call this movie number 99 with SunFoils in it, out of the 515 on my scroll. Right. The rest of it, the other 400 odd movies, with the swamp wallabies in the background, or the kangaroos, or the bowerbirds, I've included all them so that people can make their own judgment on what the bullshit content of my lifestyle is. I mean, once upon a time there was somebody who reckoned that I personally was a very dangerous human being, and it was deeply humiliating and upsetting to be, said such things about, have to listen to somebody say it. And what kept me sane during those years was the fact that no matter what people said, wild animals come and share my food. Because, they're vegetarians, I'm a vegetarian, they know I'm not dangerous. So, if my bullshit content about SunFoils is as low as my bullshit content about how I'm pretty safe to come and talk to, then maybe the SunFoils are a good thing. Does a person who has half a dozen kangaroos trust them to come in close and take food out of his hands? Is he likely to tell you lies about whether putting a solar panel on your car will save energy or not? Am I likely to be deluded? These are decisions that you can make, I think, with a better grip on reality, because I've put my life out there on YouTube for you to have a look at, Sometimes I've had flame wars, sometimes I've got drunk on camera, and, you've seen a pretty fair representation of my activities and my opinions. And I've made various kinds of friends and, a few enemies, and there are some people who come into the category of, they seem pretty interested. One of these people is a bloke called the Big Governor. And he expressed some pretty technical interests in SunFoils. And At various times the big governor has sent me PMs, and some of the PMs from the big governor have language in the title, and you can understand what's going to be there when you open it. And they're about SunFoils and they make sense and they're not irritating at all. Other times it's as if the big governor's channel has been hacked, or maybe, you know, like there's a call centre and there's a computer and different people are on the computer. You know, shift change at the CIA, you know, lunatic monitoring centre perhaps, because there have been PMs from the big governor that have nothing but alphanumerics in the title, and when I open it up, it's sending me a movie of, you know, like rap groups, music that I'm not remotely into, video games that I'm extremely unlikely to have any interest in whatsoever, because I have no computer, because I've never had a computer since 1977, when I decided that computers get a hold of very clever people and send them stupid, right? I saw this at Lucas Heights, where they had a HIFAR research reactor, and they had an electric water pump cooling their used fuel rods because they were too stupid to put each fuel rod enclosed in a vertical pipe with a cold water manifold at the bottom and a hot water manifold at the top, and let the heat of the fuel rod pump its own cooling water, which is a fail-safe system unless there's no longer any water in the river, or a clump of seaweed blocks your inlet. No, they had a bloody coal-fired power station to cool their used fuel rods. And in 1977 I decided that it was the mainframe computer that had sent all these nuclear scientists stupid, so therefore I have avoided computers. And in my avoidance of computers, there was a stage where, when Adam Shumpus XXX was offering to take up a collection to buy me a better video camera, because, you know, my mobile phone's just not up to par according to some people, although it gets the job done. And I said no to the camera. He was suggesting that I get a particular net pad, and there was somebody who offered me a net pad that they didn't use any longer. I don't know whether it was the big governor or somebody else, but that'll come into the story again. Last night, when I got back from town, there was a string of PMs in my inbox from the big governor, and they were all alphanumeric, so I know they're going to be full of shit, right? When the big governor sends me messages that make sense, you get language in the titles. And there was this long PM regarding a film to be made by a committee of anarchists who've decided that they have to have a hierarchy. And it's questions and answers debating how various people are going to have how much editorial control of a film. No explanation as to who the group is, or what the film is about, or how it's to be funded. Just thrown into a discussion, question and answer about what sort of rigid hierarchy a bunch of anarchists want to have to make a film about either skepticism or conspiracy theories or a bunch of other stuff. And it's a really long PM. And the only thing I could tie it to was several days ago at Desert Files comment thread, the big governor had said that some people are thinking about making a film about skeptics, and Desert Files being considered, and Warble's on a lot as well. So because I happened to notice that big governor was talking about me on somebody else's thread, I'm therefore supposed to be enthralled and enraptured by this question and answer stuff about the film. But it just kind of doesn't ring true to me, because an anarchist's conception of a committee is such that an anarchist maintains a camel is a horse designed by a committee. Anarchy is absence of hierarchy. And, you know, people who are on YouTube because they like to make their own movies, you know. Haven't got Hollywood fantasies because we've already got cameras and a connection to YouTube. So it really doesn't ring true to me. QAO.1.42.ACAI 2. Coctopus Prime, Desert File, Face What's Ahead, John Paul Prime, Vox Neruda warbles on a lot. Now, Vox Neruda and Desert File and I, we're bloody hermits. John Paul Prime, I think he lives in the middle of society sort of thing. Don't know about Coctopus Prime or Face What's Ahead, never looked at their channels. The text is suggested for the QAO, questions, answers, opinions. Please share it as you wish. Okay, so I'm being invited to share this with anyone. Important, please respond with stop to cease further communications from this channel. Your channel name, email address is going to be added to a list which will be included in a future draft of this text. That can't be possibly right because I have no email facilities. I don't have any emails. I never get them, never send them. If you don't want this to happen, please indicate it by sending no. You will still be contacted until you send stop, and you can change your mind at any time. Well, you see, I don't like being told by an anarchist subcommittee that I have to send stop to get them to stop talking to me. I figure I can send them a PM and tell them what I think. All right? Newest materials first. Corporation me, anarchism view. To me, as an anarchist, I reject unnecessary hierarchy, not all forms of hierarchy, it goes on. Agreed anarchy must justify its existence. I feel that this question will be in the mind of all who received your message. We need to work out what the film will be about before we decide on the things in it. Therefore, rather than talking on the details, we should attempt to formulate an overarching structure. Example, this film will be about conspiracy theories, or it will be about irrational beliefs, or political philosophy, or capitalism, and so forth. Until a general overarching structure is formulated, people will not know what exactly the film is about, what they should do, etc. People need a tangible structure. I think it's a particularly brilliant question, actually. I think what the film will be about will emerge as more people decide what it's about for them. What do I have to do to be involved in this film? The film is being made in a fresh way. There is no grand vision or authoritarian management structure. Get that? There is no grand vision or authoritarian management structure. That's funny. The film will be the result of natural chaos, producing relevant narrative from the effects of individualism or collectivism and the artist history that comes forth from that. Whatever works for you. You might collate reading materials. Whatever people decide together. I think a wiki or a blog might be good. It will be a demonstration of what free association can do with no managers needed or managers being elected. Whatever the group decides, successful ingredients. Which is exactly how things should be right now, I feel. No sign-off. So I sent the big governor some fairly cranky messages saying like, what the fuck do you think you're on about? And it went back and forth a bit, and I pointed out that anybody who wants to use my stuff on YouTube is perfectly free to use it. And if you want something that's of better quality, then, you know, toddle up to my hometown, give us a ring and we'll do an interview in a coffee shop somewhere. Or maybe you might have to come up to my place. But, you know, don't start sending me rules and regulations telling me what I'm allowed to do and how I have to stand to attention and salute in order to get you to stop. And so this morning I discover that the big governor is connected to I See Dead Ants. And he sent me a text, or she. We already have the funding for the film and we have records of offering you a laptop and testing equipment. I'm sorry if you don't remember it, but we do and can prove it. Don't understand your hostility at all, but it's not something I would like to work with. The editorial control of this film is operated democratically and there are already many people from YouTube on board. I am advised to tell you that if you make a hostile video about this, it too may be included in the production. You are advised that you will have no control over this, as we will seek to obtain rights from YouTube as they legally own the content. As we stand now, we intend to use nothing created by you. The engineer you're asking about is fine. Thank you for asking. We hope you recover well too. Well, I don't think this is a hostile reply. I think it's a sceptical reply. To be honest, I think you're talking like a bunch of authoritarians pretending to be anarchists, maybe trying to flush out some dangerous nutters in society, but you're totally unconvincing to me. No more convincing than the people who pretended to be planning a documentary on an alternative lifestyle community and asked me to tell them stories from the community. They faded out entirely when I said that I'd tell them such stories at the community cooperative house. But I don't appreciate threats, so therefore I'm making the movie you told me not to upload. Ciao.